what I spoke about is the power of creating content that is not what everybody else is talking about.
That's the key.
Or if it is a concept, if it is a conversation that people are talking about. Here's an example: down payment assistance, right? I met the lady who's in charge of the biggest down payment assistance organization in the country, right? I got to sit next to her and pick her brain for overnight. It was amazing. Like, she was an absolute genius, right? And one of the things she said to me, and mind you, I've been around the real estate industry for 8 years. I had no idea that on Zillow, which is the #1 app that everybody likes to go look at houses and scroll and surf for whatever the inspiration is they might want for their own home. In Zillow, there's a tab that you can click that will show you all of what, or show you whether or not that home is approved or has a down payment assistance program that could be used for it.
Zach, what do I do when a video goes viral? How do I milk that for all it's worth? Welcome on the back end of Zoom to our webinar today. And now welcome to the Facebookers on LabCoatAgents. We are back after taking a month off for travel. At least that was my excuse. I don't know about you, Michelle, but we are back and we have a new session today where we are going to connect email and Instagram. I don't exactly understand what you want to do here with this, Michelle, but I think this is interesting because I have my thoughts. So how to combine email marketing and Instagram. Take it away.
Yeah. Well, first of all, for those of you guys who weren't with us, because we were offline laughing about this, humidity in Louisiana is wild right now, 85%. So, or not 85%, I'm sorry, that's Jake's. Ours is over 90% here in Louisiana. So I'm curious, where are you tuning in from? In the chat box, let us know. Where are you joining us from? And is it humid where you are? Because for all my ladies in the house, straightening my hair today was not an option. So I'm just curious if everyone else feels my pain. Jake's in Ventura, California. So where are y'all from? Let us know. Now, as far as what Jeff was talking about, so this is one of the topics that I am super passionate about talking about. And really the direction is email marketing and social media. There's a disconnect, right? Mike says he's in Vegas, only 10% humidity. Welcome to dry heat. You lucky son of a gun. But again, to my point, right, is email marketing and social media typically have a very big disconnect, right? So what we post on social media and the content that we're putting out there doesn't correlate to the emails that we're doing or what we're sending out. So here's what I really want to talk about is two things. One, if you guys have been around with Jeff and I over the course of several webinars that we've done together, we love social media, right? We love Instagram, we love Facebook, we love all of these platforms about being able to put great content out. And we talk about writing and creating better content. And we've talked about that in a couple of different buckets as far as how to do that. But now what I want to talk about is if we're making better content for social, which hopefully we are by now, how do we then turn that same social content into an email that goes out? So that's part number one. The other side of the token, which kind of brings up the first point of discussion, is if you guys are sending out emails to your database, they're typically on the real estate side, at least from what I've seen, and you guys can correct me if you see differently, Jeff, you can as well, but even LO and real estate agent, the emails that go out are newslettery, they are very boring. There are 15 call to actions in every newsletter email. There's just way too much going on in these emails that go out. They're not well branded. It's pretty much like whether it's KV Core, Follow Up Boss, Active Campaign, MailChimp, it doesn't really matter what CRM you're using. You're sending out canned emails, right? Or it's an auto-populated or an auto-generated email with content that you kind of plug and play. But the problem there is if I get one of those emails from you and it doesn't correlate to the content you're putting out on social, or both of them are bad for that matter, you're pushing out content that's falling on deaf ears, right? So again, back to the point of we're checking the box of I posted on social media today, but did I actually do anything of value? So Jeff, I think hopefully by describing that, you kind of understand where my head is as far as where I want to go with this. But I'm curious on just your thought on that before we get started.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me going on the canned emails from the CRM that you signed up for through your broker, because it's spam. It's just what it is.
Yep.
I don't care what anybody says. And I'm not a believer in, even though we use CRMs and even though I don't like them, but I believe in them because for most professionals, they're not going to do it. And so something's better than nothing, even though it is spam. But I actually believe in the concept of a social CRM. I believe in using a Facebook group as a place to place your past customers and friends and family and meeting them where they want to be met. That's what I believe. But the whole concept of email marketing, actually, let me reverse it. This will be teasing another potential topic, is using Instagram to grow your email database. And I know you can talk about that as well. So I'll let you take it where you want to go from here.
1000%. So that, I feel like that should be our webinar next month, Jeff, if you want to
flip it around.
That's a good
Okay.
topic right there.
Jake noted.
Yeah. Let's write that down, because I think everybody would love that. But yeah, how to use your Instagram as a lead generator on an email side, right? So generating new leads for your business. And I just did this for a client. We're almost about to turn it on, but we created a really, really beautiful landing page, a lead magnet that's not a seller's guide or a buyer's guide, because they don't work, guys. Stop making them. Nobody reads them. It's, again, boring content. So we created a very special, very unique handout, if you will, basically a 3-page download that's modeled off of what mine is, the Instagram Power Method roadmap is what mine's called. But the idea is, if somebody clicks the link in her bio, they download this freebie, it then redirects them to her email list. She now gets to drip on them through her email. And then this brings us into the topic that I want to talk about specifically for today, which is, once somebody's in your email database, what are you guys doing with them, right? So, let me pause quickly and address something that Jeff said. I am a firm believer in this. And Jeff, you and I have a mutual friend, Grant Wise. He's a brilliant human. And one of the things that he says to me all the time, as my business coach, is that if Instagram, if Facebook, if TikTok, if LinkedIn, if all of these platforms all of a sudden just burst into flames, where would we go to make money, right? And I always say, that's what my email list is. I know that my email list is where I'm going to make money if my Instagram just explodes tomorrow. Now, do I think that will ever happen? No, but it's sure nice to know that I'm not going to lose the money that we're generating monthly if it does, right? So, or if, let's say, for example, this has been a really big issue. Jeff, you just posted about it on Facebook not long ago. People are getting hacked like wildfire right now. Because they're making stupid choices. They're clicking on links that they shouldn't be clicking on, all of the things. So if you get hacked, what do? Oh, boom, my Instagram's gone. Now I got to start all over. Well, guess what? All you have to do is send an email to your email list saying, hey guys, my Instagram was hacked. Here's my new Instagram, with an Instagram link directly to your new profile. And all of a sudden, like, shit's not broken anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what we're kind of talking about in reference to both sides. So as far as what emails you should be sending monthly, that's kind of where I want to start. And then we'll break down the 4. So what I teach, this is something that, again, I'm super passionate about, because I just feel like people need to elevate this. But there's really 4 emails on a monthly basis, in my opinion. And then if there's more in addition to that, then that's something that you guys would need to decide. But here's the 4. First and foremost is a follow me on the gram email. So what that looks like is an email that goes out to your email list saying, hey guys, don't forget, if you're not following me on social media or Instagram, specifically, because y'all know that Instagram is my jam. That's what I love. That email is called the follow me on the gram, but it could be, don't forget to connect with me on Facebook. It could be a don't forget to connect with me on LinkedIn, or, hey, check out my new TikTok profile. Like, it could be whatever you want it to be, but it is a follow me on social email. And in that email, it is very simple. There is a template that I've built out for it. But at the same time, the call to action is one thing, and it is a link directly to whatever social platform. Mike says he loves my halo. I know, don't judge me for my office. I'm currently in the middle of redoing things. So I have my now I'm going to mess up my internet connection.
Yeah, don't do that.
I know, let's not do that, but I have my
just keep your
Instagram Power
halo,
Method
just
logo.
keep your halo as is.
I have my Instagram Power Method logo over here, Mike Patton, which is going to get moved to behind me, and this light's going to be gone. So just don't judge me for my halo momentarily, guys. Anyways, so I got distracted. So email number one is the follow me on social. I call it the follow me on the gram email. Again, that email has one call to action with a link to go click and view you on social media so that they can connect with you on that platform. Doesn't matter when you send that email out throughout the month. In the calendar that we built out for our clients, typically it's towards the beginning of the month. It's kind of like a kickoff the month thing. It's only once a month because the hope is that your email list is growing throughout the month, or you're adding new people to your database. And so it's kind of one of those. If you've never done one of these emails, my suggestion is send an email out saying, hey guys, I've revamped my social media, or I've revamped my Instagram. I'd love for you to go connect with me. And then the language obviously needs to change every month thereafter that. So before I get into 2, 3, 4, Jeff, what's your take on where we are right now as far as that's concerned?
Well, first of all, I would also reverse this. So I had a question, and I'll ask it, but I'll also comment. And the question was, do you do this every single month, or does that become somewhat redundant, being that your email database is probably going to have spurts of growth, but by and large is going to be a very familiar audience with you. So if you're constantly promoting the Instagram, do you need to do it monthly? But the other comment I was going to make was that you should be doing this in reverse as well, which is on your Instagram, promoting your email newsletter. And some of the ways that you can do that is obviously sharing tidbits of what you're sharing in the newsletter, but also doing giveaways. Give away that $5 Starbucks gift card, give away basic, simple things, and say, join my newsletter for a chance to win type of thing. Then you do a live video on Instagram where you pull a name out of a hat, which is just extra content. There's different ways to kind of commingle the two together, basically. But back to the question, is once a month maybe too much?
So two-part answer. Is it too much? It depends on the size of your email list. That's what or like the level of growth that you see on a monthly basis, right? So I have about 14,000 people on my email list. I'm assuming you guys, Jeff, yours is way bigger than that. But for everybody else, it's dependent upon what your growth rate is. It's how many people are joining your email list on a monthly basis. If you don't have huge growth consistently month over month, then maybe it's once every other month. Maybe it's once a quarter, right? And that's completely okay as you're starting to ramp that up. Once a month, let's say that should be a goal for you to get to the point where like you are seeing enough growth that you need to be doing that monthly. And I will say, for sake of time, I just don't have time to I don't have time to give it all away. And 2, I don't have time to even get through all of it. But in conjunction with the email, there is also a post that you put on your personal Facebook page that would then also cross-pollinate the platforms. And there's a whole system to how we teach people to cross-pollinate their social platforms and their email list all together. So think of it as kind of like closing the loop. It's kind of what we call it. The life cycle of social media is the true definition, the true title of what we call it in our program. So that's the answer to that question. Now, the second question the second point I want to make is the reverse side, right? Where you were talking about what you post on Instagram or what you're doing on Instagram to get people back to your email list. And I'm going to challenge your thought process, Jeff, just a little bit and say, I hate the word newsletter, first off. And that's the point where we get to this boring cookie cutter email that's going out monthly. So let's change the title of it, right? And so I think that's one piece. How do we promote it in our stories? How do we promote it on our Instagram? What are we doing to get people excited about joining our email list? I think needs to be a conversation maybe for another webinar. But that's something that is really important. Now, with that is a promotional cycle, or we call it promo cycles. And so what that is, let's say, for example, I'm going to use one of my clients as an example. So she's in Oregon. She does this really big dog fundraiser every single September. Hers is coming up September 17th. We're in the middle of getting a lot of the marketing for social ready for her. And so what that looks like is basically a 2-week kind of launch process. so that when it's time to actually register or registration is open, she's not posting it on Instagram the day before the event, hoping that people are going to show up to the event. Right. So, and I'll pose this to you, the people in the chat, because we have a good amount of people on here. But have you guys ever posted something on Instagram or Facebook for an event, let's say 24 hours before, and it gets very little engagement, or it just doesn't do anything, right? Because how many people are going to register for something less than 24 hours beforehand if they didn't even know that it was happening, and it happens to be an in-person thing? The reality, right, is that doesn't work. You may get a onesie, twosie here and there, but that is not a foolproof system. So what I would encourage you to do is create what I call a promo cycle, which is a 2-week lead up to whatever that event is. And that includes social posting, that includes story content that you're putting out to get, with the question box or the engagement sticker for people to drop their email. And you're creating an entire social calendar basically to promote this event. And again, to my other point, that is definitely a strategy. And that's something that we've certainly perfected over the years for ourselves. But I would say yes to your point, but there has to be more thought and more effort into it. But actually what you said and what we've been talking about right now leads me to email number 2. So remember, I said that there are 4 emails that I recommend on a monthly basis. Email number 2 is an email to generate new testimonials. So this is a big one, right? People always want testimonials. But Jeff, I'm going to throw this to you and then I'm going to answer it too. How do people typically, especially in the loan world, maybe not so much in the real estate world, but maybe both, at least I know from my agent, there was one specific thing that I got, but how do most agents and LOs typically ask for testimonials?
I mean, most of them, well, it's the combination, I would say. There's automation that they probably have built into their CRM that asks for it, or they're just doing it directly. And I think it's usually either at the closing or via email. Okay,
so what I've seen, and is exactly what you mentioned, it's a canned email saying, hope your experience was great. Leave us, if you could, a 5-star review or a Google review, and here's this big blue button, click it, go do it. Right? Mm-hmm. That is what a traditional testimonial ask looks like. And I want to explode that and blow it up. And the way that our clients do it is a testimonial email. Again, this is a template that we've built, but what it looks like is you're essentially giving away a gift card, Starbucks, Baskin Robbins, I don't care, Chick-fil-A, it doesn't matter what it is. But here's 3 big things. Number 1, there's a picture of you at the location of whatever the thing is that you're giving away in the email, right? It could be a video for all I care. And I know, Jeff, you'll be totally on board with that. But if you're giving away a $10 Starbucks gift card, go walk into a Starbucks, order yourself a drink, and then have somebody record you as you pick up your drink and take a sip of your cup of coffee saying, I'm giving away a $10 Starbucks gift card. I know I just got my caramel macchiato. I can't wait for you to get one for yourself. Right? And then that simple video in an email that goes out saying, I'm giving away $10 Starbucks gift cards to the first 5 people that submit a Google review for me. And guess what? When you send an email out and when you start to see the Google reviews, they're time-stamped, right? You can see when the person left them. So you know who those 5 people are, and you're going to be able to tell whether or not there was a spike in engagement on testimonials or not. And so that is really, really huge. Mike says, this is awesome. Video time stamped and sent to my list. Yeah, absolutely. So testimonial emails are huge. So first and foremost, it needs to have a photo of you or a video of you in it. Secondly, what I tell everybody, and the same thing for the follow me on the gram email, 1 call to action. Don't say, you could leave a review on Facebook. You could leave a review on Google. If you want to go to Zillow, wherever, right?
Don't make it too complicated.
Give them any option other than 1 button to click to go to 1 place. And that is something, if that's all you take away from this, is to record a video in the actual location of the gift card you're giving away and to have 1 CTA, I guarantee you guys will get way more testimonials, and there'll be testimonials that you're proud to share with your audience, right? Whether that's a social proof post, whether that's, you're sharing it with somebody who's deciding whether or not they want to hire you. My biggest testimonial that I always tell people if they, when they're deciding on me is Google me, let that do the talking. Like I don't need, anything other than that. And so I think that that's part of it. But the testimonial template is so huge. And then the third thing, which is a little bit higher level there, is when people want to leave you a Google review, or when they want to leave you a review, if they're like, well, what do you want me to say? Or can you give me 2 to 3 bullet points of what you want me to talk about? Jeff, that might ring a bell, right? So if that is something that they ask you a lot, what we've done is we've actually built out a 5-question questionnaire that is designed to get them talking about specific things that are going to make you look good on social media. Right? One of those questions, I'm not going to give it away, but one of those questions, as far as one of the 5, is asking them to tell the story of how they found you, right? So, hey, I actually found Jeff on blank, right? Let your social proof do the talking. And so again, all of those questions are designed to get them talking and to get them to answer the types of questions that are going to help you look good on social and anywhere else that somebody might find you. So that's email number 2 in a big giant nutshell, and kind of a 3-prong part to the concept. But Jeff, what do you think about that side?
Love it. Love it. I think it's great. I think you need to go on to number 3, so we have plenty of time to discuss all of them.
Yeah, I love that answer. Thank you. So number 3 is your value series email. So if you guys have done a newslettery type of email in the past, which is what we're talking about here, trying to debunk or kind of explode and get rid of. If you have been on any of my webinars with Jeff before, you know that there's a topic or a concept that I've called value series. And what that is one topic that you break down into 5 bullet points. Each one of those bullet points equals its own post over the course of a 30-day content calendar. So you're basically talking about one topic for the entire month in 5 separate posts versus one post where there's, way too much information to be able to do in one post. And also it gets you away from the graphics, right? Everybody knows I hate stock images. We had an entire webinar on that. And stock content, right? Those like flyers that you get from your title company or, your lender will send you or whatever. That is not social content. And a lot of it has way too much information on it. So a value series is designed to allow you to really dig in to the conversation that you're trying to have about a topic that is pertinent to your audience, right? So I actually had the honor of speaking at the Awesome Females in Real Estate Conference in Phoenix 2 weeks ago. The humidity was a lot less there, I'll say that. But one of the things that we talked about, which was awesome, is that crypto, when it comes back, the amount of, or as far as like, what it's worth, we all know it took a poop recently, but there is no loan officer out there that I have seen, with very, very few exception, that is talking about how to get a mortgage with crypto in the right way, right? They may be doing a quick video on it. They may be like posting it in stories, like a screenshot of an article. You can now get a loan with crypto, right? But nobody is taking the time to record a 5-video series. And these videos, guys, are 1 minute, 2 minutes tops. Like it's not a lot, but nobody is taking the time to talk about something like that and dispersing it over the course of a 30-day content calendar and repurposing one of those 5 videos in an email to go out to their email list saying, hey guys, if you haven't checked out my Instagram, I just dropped an entire series on how to get a mortgage with crypto. And it repurposes the video you've already created. You don't have to redo it, but you can send it out to your email list to push people back to it. So if why not, right? If it's posted on Instagram, if it's posted on Facebook, again, the idea with that follow me on whatever social channel is wherever you post it in the email, send them or include the video include the video, that you posted on XYZ channel, and then push the people in that email to that same channel where that video is posted. And the idea is, again, you get more eyeballs on it and you get rid of the boring newsletter emails of like the top 5 things going on in Mesa, Arizona, right? Because I can Google that, or I can find it. If I care, or if I'm looking for that, I'm probably in a Facebook group. I'm probably going to find out about some event coming up. I live in a military town. So if there's anything going on, I will see it in the Facebook group. So I don't need a newsletter from my real estate agent telling me, here's the 5 things coming up in my city, right? So the point is if I can Google it, why do I need you? And that's kind of goes back to this point we're trying to make. So again, if you're going to record a really awesome series about a topic that is really pertinent to your ideal client, right? Not all of us should be talking about getting a mortgage with crypto because it's probably not our person. And it's not all of your guys' ideal clients. But if that is you, for example, you take one of those 5 videos, you send it out to your email list once a month. And in that email, it has the video and it has a CTA to drive people to your Instagram saying, I just dropped this awesome new series all about getting a mortgage with crypto. Go check it out, call to action button. And again, we have templates for all of this because I just know that it's going to completely change the way people do email marketing.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with not being an aggregator of what's happening in your community, because I do think that most humans are too lazy to even want to Google it, even though they can. Most of them say, okay, if Allie is consistently sending me what's happening in the community, I don't have to Google it now. I'm just going to wait for her email and I'll pay attention to what's happening, right? I still think there's value there, but I do believe, and I got two comments on the crypto. First of all, I'm hosting those webinars on LabCoatAgents, which is talking about, I'm interviewing Teresa Grobecker, who's built out consortia. She's helping build the blockchain for NAR. It's crazy stuff. I'm learning all this stuff. If they're not talking about mortgages and crypto, it's because they don't exist yet. Yes, you can use crypto as a down payment, but they're still working on the connection to Fannie and Freddie, which is happening now. And lenders are starting to line up. That's another conversation for another day. But the point, I think, is and what I totally agree with, if you can find these innovative topics, and that's a great one, by the way, and you all should be paying attention and absorbing as much as possible, because what Michelle just said is the future of our industry. And if you're the one digging this stuff up, watching the webinars, taking what you can read online, learning what you can learn, being at the cusp of what's happening, and you start putting out this content continually as it becomes a bigger part of our world, which it will, what are they all going to remember? They're going to remember you, like, I always see that in his or her newsletter. I always see that on his or her Instagram, and it will completely change your life. However, Michelle, I still would put in what's happening in the community in your newsletter too, because I still think there's value there.
I don't think that I want to just reiterate, I don't think that there isn't value there. I just don't think that it is the best type of value.
It's not as earth-shattering as something like, if you can find content like crypto, yes, I agree.
Well, it's not just crypto. Like, Jeff, you've been around me long enough to know that the way that we teach our clients to make value series and the conversations that we're having around these topics are wildly different than the traditional, here's the 5 steps to the home buying process. And I've worked really hard to change the culture of social media content. And I did an entire speech at this conference about the term social media manager and how I hate that term because I just feel like it gives a very bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. They think that it's wasted money. It kind of comes out as like, this person's not really doing anything for me. And again, I feel like I just came up with another webinar topic for Jeff and I, but what I spoke about is the power of creating content that is not what everybody else is talking about.
The key.
Or if it is a concept, if it is a conversation that people are talking about. Here's an example. Down payment assistance, right? I met the lady who's in charge of the biggest down payment assistance organization in the country, right? I got to sit next to her and pick her brain for overnight. It was amazing. Like, she was an absolute genius, right? And one of the things she said to me, and mind you, I've been around the real estate industry for 8 years. I had no idea that on Zillow, which is the #1 app that everybody likes to go look at houses and scroll and surf for whatever the inspiration is they might want for their own home. In Zillow, there's a tab that you can click that will show you show you whether or not that home is approved or has a down payment assistance program that could be used for it. Like, I had no idea. And guys, I've bought 4 homes and I had no flipping clue that existed, right? That right there is a way to talk about down payment assistance in a very unique and very different way that gets you away from, did you know that you don't need 20% down? Or did you know that there are down payment assistance programs that are out there for you to be able to buy a home without, or with as little as, 3% down, or whatever the conversation is based off the loan program that, maybe you're familiar with. But that right there is a conversation that you can have that changes the conversation around down payment assistance. And the point, guys, that we're trying to make, both Jeff and I, and we're saying it in slightly different ways, right? Is that is what people need, not your flyers, not your conversations, or not your 5 steps to the home buying process, or how to raise your credit score. Like, that's not what we need anymore, because we've seen it enough, right? It's time to graduate into being, as Jeff said, on the cutting edge, or kind of foreshadowing what's happening in our industry. And if any of you guys are familiar with a wonderful lady named Amy Sharu, she is one of the highest paid female speakers on the real estate circuit. She's actually speaking for me at one of my private events this October. Jeff, you spoke for me last October, but Amy is going to be one of my speakers, and she is talking about crypto and mortgages and real estate, and how to, and being able to buy homes and have all of the title and escrow being listed on the blockchain, and being able to see all of that stuff, right? So what I'm trying to do is create a culture of social media advertising for people, and how people are posting on social media in a way that talks about topics like this, but does it in a different way. That's not your boring, again, to my point, your boring newsletter, or your boring, stock style type of content. So the moral of the story is stop pushing out content that is auto-generated, because it's falling on deaf ears, and it's not going to serve you or the client that you're trying to ultimately attract. So for sake of time, I'll give you the 4th email. And in a perfect world, you would actually have 5 emails, like I was mentioning, but in a perfect world, you'd have 5. But if you don't, number 4 is going to be your production, right? So this is not necessarily you talking about your production, but this could be an email saying, we had an amazing month last month. Here's the couple of houses we closed, or here's a screenshot. Maybe it's a collage of a bunch of different types of homes, or a bunch of the different properties you sold. And here's the most important thing, right? So we're not just sending an email talking about how awesome we are and how we sold 10 houses last month. What we're sending out in this email is we are telling the story of the relationship, or of a relationship that we had with one of your buyers or sellers, right? So maybe it is, think of it as like a home buyer spotlight, but you're telling the story. And my entire house is getting renovated, all the bathrooms. So my contractors have been here. And they've been learning a lot. They actually said they listened to my every episode of my podcast over the weekend. And I was like, wow, your contractors, that's amazing. But here's what was cool about that is they showed me a video that they recorded in one of the bathrooms that they remodeled. And they were asking me for my opinion on like whether or not the video was good and whether or not they should use it on social media. And here was the problem. This was a crazy unique bathroom. It was a shower, think of like a tub with like the curtain around it. So it has like that kind of circular thing up attached to the roof, like a rain shower. But the whole entire bathroom was tiles. So all the way floor to ceiling, everything was the exact same tile. So it was like a waterfall kind of vibe. It was stunning, right? And I asked them, I was like, in the video, all you talk about is like what you did, what type of tile, what kind of shower you made. What I would have done is I would have talked about the buyer, or in this case, the person who was asking you to create this really unique bathroom, and tell the story of why, or 1, how you met this gentleman, and 2, like, why did he want to create a bathroom like that? And then what did you do to ultimately create his vision, or to make his vision a reality? And it was a beautiful story once she told it to me. And I just said, that's what your video should have been about. Not, here's these floating shelves we made. This is the type of tile we used. This is what we had to do to make the curtain thing sit in the ceiling. So again, saying and talking about the same exact bathroom in 2 totally different ways. So point being, email number 4 is talking about what is going on in your business, right? How many houses did you sell? What was your properties that you have listed? Maybe you have a property that's getting ready to be listed. So maybe that's in that email, depending on when you time it. And you're telling the story of a buyer or a seller, and really talking or speaking into that experience that you had with them, and that they ultimately had with you, and why that was such a great experience.
I love that. I think most consumers too would actually be tickled by that. So if you have a consumer who's a first-time home buyer and they have a story to tell, you have a seller who's, raised their family in the home, or you have a home that you're selling that has some historical interesting facts about it. Like, there's so many different ways you can go with this. I think you're going to find people that are like, nah, I don't want to share my story, but you're going to get some people that are tickled by it. And then when they receive your newsletter and they see that the stories about them, they're going to be more tickled by it. In some cases, they might even share it. And not only are you ingraining yourself to them through that, they're going to probably be addicted to your newsletter, which is good. But also, who knows, if you get those shares, all of a sudden you're just getting additional eyeballs, and you're kind of building a little celebrity status. There's so much to that, so much to unpack. And what I heard was, tell better stories. Stop being so technical and tell better stories. What I want to say before we open it up for questions and other things that people will have and that you might have is one really, really important concept, right? And all of us that are on here, Jeff, you and I included, right? This is not something that's going to take you 5 minutes, right? This is not a push email done. I send my email to my email list button or I checked my to-do list item. I sent an email to my email list. So this takes work, right? But here's the thing is, if you're going to build the system for better emails, once it's built, it's built. But here's what I will tell everybody, right? Is there will be 1, 2, maybe 3, if I'm really lucky, of you that actually go out and start doing what Jeff and I are talking about. And so you have to be willing to be the person to put the work in to create a better email system structure. And again, it ties into their social media content. It ties into everything, right? But you have to be willing to do the work. And what I said in my speech actually in Arizona, and the reason I'm bringing this up is it's just a topic that I'm super incredibly passionate about. But you can talk a great game, right? You can say, I'm going to commit to doing better social media this year. I'm going to commit to doing better email marketing this year. But the reality is that so many of us have a million excuses as to why we don't do something. And most of the reason is fear-based, right? Oh, I've never done that before. I don't know how to do that. Or I'm scared of what what the reception might be. I talked to a client yesterday, and I teach to do 45 comments and 20 story replies every single day on Instagram as part of your prospecting strategy. 45 comments and 45 comments and 20 story replies every single day as part of your prospecting on Instagram, right? That is prospecting. Write that down, everyone. We can totally do another webinar on that too. We'll just call it that. 45 comments and 20 story replies. Jake, you've got content for the next 6 months. Just literally, I was just going to say that. But what I was talking to her about, and when I told her that that's what her homework assignment was, and she emailed back and she said, I feel like I haven't done much over the last 3 months. Can you cancel my group coaching membership? And I replied to her email and I said, no. You know why? Because when you bought this course, what you said to me was you needed and you wanted the accountability, and you wanted me to push you to do the things that you're not comfortable doing. And mind you, I have a great relationship with this lady. So me saying no wasn't weird, just for reference. But I said no. And I said to her, you've been in group coaching for 3 months. You've been on a total of 4 calls. On those 4 calls, you've only really shown up with feedback on homework that you've done once, right? So you wanting to cancel the coaching calls to me means that you aren't willing to push past that fear barrier of, I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm just not going to do it. And so what her reasoning was, but behind the 45 comments and 20 story replies not happening, was, well, I live in a small town, and anytime I go out and do comments, I feel like everybody's just going to know that I was doing comments. And I'm like, oh yeah, exactly. And she's like, well, everybody knows everybody in this town. And I was like, cool. So you'll be the only real estate agent in that entire town doing the engagement and doing the research on going and creating relationships virtually on social media, specifically Instagram. And I'm telling you, in a 15-minute conversation, I made a woman who had completely checked out of the process
reinvest emotionally, because it had nothing to do with the fact that she didn't know what she was supposed to do. It had everything to do with the fact that she just wasn't confident in executing it because of perception, fear of perception, right? And it was something that she hadn't done before. So my point that I was making is creating better email copy and doing what we're talking about is something that any of you most likely have not done before. So it is work, and it is going to take time to do it. And it is going to take a mindset shift of, I'm so used to doing my newsletters and it takes me 5 seconds to do it. So now I have to allocate a whole hour to writing an email. Like, man, I don't have an hour. Well, do you have an hour, or are you willing to make an hour in your week? Or are you willing to make time, whether that's an hour or 2 hours? I don't care how long it takes you, right? But are you willing to make that adjustment, knowing that it's going to catapult you forward and create, ultimately help you create better email copy, and to create better relationships with your clients, right? Taking the time to interview one of your clients for that fourth email that we're talking about. How long does that take? It takes a 20-minute phone call. You pick up the phone and you say, hey, Jeff, I'd love to use you as my spotlight next month, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I went I'm super passionate about it. But
on that note, you should make that as a part of your regular dialogue with all of your clients, because frankly, this is relationship building 101. It's conversation 101. It's called letting them talk about themselves. And if you ask questions and follow-up questions and let the consumer, the client, the person, the employee, that doesn't matter who it is, if you get better at just doing that and having dialogue with people, letting them tell stories and talk about themselves, they feel way more connected to you, because we as humans, and this is a psychological thing, we just like to talk about ourselves. But we as humans also like to one up, even though we don't realize it. And it's like, you know, Michelle could be like, hey, how was your weekend? And I start to tell her, and all of a sudden she said, well, let me tell you, I had the same thing happen to me. And I'd be like, wait a minute, I didn't ask you. You asked me. Why did you just interject? But that's what we do. And we're taking this different places today. This is turning into some bonus tips. So before I let time get away from us, because we're about up on time, you know, you teach all this stuff, and you do all this stuff. And so anybody listening to this, anybody watching this, you can go out and execute exactly what we share with you today, or you could get help. It's your choice. Michelle, how do they connect with you if they want your help executing what you just taught today?
Yeah, so I can officially drop this now. But on Monday, and the reason I'm going to drop this here for those of us who are here first, is Jeff was actually my guest speaker last year. So last October, we had our second annual VIP day event. So this is a very private 2-day mastermind that I host every single year. We do it twice a year. Normally last year, I only did it once because I was very, very pregnant. So actually Jeff got to meet my son last October, who was less than 8 weeks old, when we did that. But our VIP day this year is has officially launched, if you will, but the marketing, opens August 8th. So what we're doing is we're doing a pre-launch basically. So it is only for 12 people total. One of the spots has already been paid for and secured. So the reason I'm saying this way is Jeff, again, was my speaker last year. So I think it'd be cool for Jeff to kind of speak into his experience at it, and why that was so great for him to be a part of, and why, you know, maybe he thinks you should go or shouldn't go. But the guest speakers that we're having this year, there are 2. Amy Sharu, who, as I mentioned, is one of the #1 or highest paying female speakers on the real estate circuit. She's spoken on every major stage in the real estate industry that is known. She is currently traveling the country speaking on crypto and mortgages. So she is very, very involved in the industry. And the second guest speaker for us this year is Phil Treadwell, who, if any of you guys are familiar, he is the founder of Mortgage Marketing Expert, which is one of the most downloaded mortgage podcasts on the planet. He's also an incredibly high producing LO in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So it is in Dallas this year, and it is October 6th and October 7th. So it is a 2-day, 8 hours per day, private mastermind for 12 people only. So Jeff, I'll kind of let you speak into that if you want to. And then for anybody who wants the link, I will drop the survey in the chat box.
Yeah, drop it in there. I mean, you know, I believe that the current and future of all events are becoming intimate, small masterminds, and that's exactly what this was. It's kind of like the whole, you know, why do you go to a private school over a public school? It's for class size. And, the larger events you go to, although they might have some awesome content, you're not going to get to touch and feel and really get deep and immersive with the speakers. And that's what you do get to do at these events. As not only did we get deep and immersive in the rooms, we got deep and immersive outside of the rooms, having dinner and having cocktails and those sort of things. So I'm a big fan of it. This, we're doing similar events, and I just believe in that I think it's more effective. I think you get more out of it. So whether you're local to that area or not, make a vacation out of going to Dallas, whatever the case may be, it would be well worth your time and money, because I know the people last year, actually, Michelle, I don't think you know this, but I have relationships with a couple of those guys still to this day, and we talk regularly.
Yep.
And so it's valuable.
Yeah, I spoke to Tom recently, actually, and I know he's one of them who had created a relationship with you and has maintained it, and it's been beautiful to have been the facilitator of that. Has been an amazing experience on my end. But essentially what it is, guys, is it's 2 days, it's 8 hours each day. We spend a ton of time going into very, very hyper-focused topics. Both days are mastermind style. We have topics for each hour on the hour. And as Jeff mentioned, these topics are hyper-focused on you guys and what's going on in the industry, and specifically on the Instagram side. Day number 1 is Instagram Power Method Focus, which is my course and my program that teaches a lot of what you guys heard me kind of drop today. And then day number 2 is what we call Beyond the Method. So it's that high level, next level type stuff, where we're talking about specifically the landing page, growing your email list through your Instagram. That's a big topic that's going to be on day number 2, especially because I now have a ton of clients who are doing it really, really well. So I'm now quote, giving it away, if you will, to the 12 people who are joining us. So I dropped the link in the chat box. I will tell you that, again, the dates are October 6th and October 7th. It is application only, so you have to actually submit the application in order for us to reach out to you to create that. Once you submit your survey, my team and I will set up a private interview with you to go through your questions and your answers to make sure that we can customize the content to exactly what you are really looking for getting, or what you're really looking to get out of the experience when we finalize the timeline. So we make the timeline for all of you guys. It's not for us, it's for the people that are attending. So super special event to me, something that I'm really excited to do every year. Next year, we will be doing it twice. Again, now that I'm not super duper pregnant, so it'll be fun. But other than that, guys, follow me on Instagram. That's definitely the best way to get a hold of me. I'll drop my Instagram handle in the chat box, but it is Berman Media Social. If you just Google Michelle Berman Michael, all of that will come up too.
Awesome. As always, it has been a pleasure. I look forward to next month, which we have a multitude of topics to choose from. Thank you guys for being on today. If you have any questions, you know how to reach her. Go to Berman Media Social on Instagram, shoot her a DM, connect with her. I know from personal experience, she's very active and very responsive. So if you have any follow-up questions, go send them there. Thank you for being here. Thank you, LabCoatAgents. See you next time.